WPPM LP, Philadelphia.
I've been waiting a long time for this. I've been waiting so long for this. Knew I was gonna get to tap it back in the beginning. And if you want it, you can have it. You just gotta stick with it. I've been waiting a long time for this. I've been waiting so long for this. Knew I was about to get it way back in the beginning. And if you want it, you can have it. You just gotta stick with it. I've been waiting a long time for this. I deserve it. I've been working and the time is here. Knew it was gonna belong to me way back in the beginning. If you want it, you can have it. You just gotta stick with it. I've been waiting a long time for this. I deserve it. I've been working and the time is here. Knew it was gonna belong to me way back in the beginning. If you want it, it's there. You just gotta go get it.
It's the Career Seeker Show live on WPPM FM 106.5 Philadelphia. I'm your host and the world's #1 diversity recruiter, Kenneth L. Johnson, and I've been waiting a long time to bring you the Career Seekers team. Tiffany Sutherland, career coach, Alberta Bertolino, recruitment coach, videographer Will Martin, and together we are your #1 source for career and job search information. We'll be back after the break.
The Career Seeker Show on WPPM FM Philadelphia. Insightful advice for those seeking more than just a job, but a career from the nation's top diversity recruiter, Kenneth L. Johnson. Whether you're starting your career, changing careers, or looking for that next great opportunity, the Career Seeker Show provides a virtual GPS that delivers real career advice that leads you to your career destination.
So it's the Career Seeker Show live on WPPM LP Philadelphia.
Hey, Seekers.
What's up? We got Alberta Bertolino. I'm sorry, Alberta Bloom in the building.
It's been a while. It's okay.
I changed it on the website, though. I changed it on the Career Seekers website. Yo, also, check that site out, www.careerseekers.work. That's what we do. We do work. It's the Career Seeker Show.
We put you to work.
Yeah, we put you to work as well. We do this thing every Wednesday, 4 to 5. Shout out to Chocolate and Terry Tobin for the intro, man. I appreciate y'all. Terry, I know you did that thing in Phoenix over the weekend. I'm sure you shut them down. Chalk, I think I saw that you're out in Tacoma, Washington.
Wow.
Worldwide Career
Seriously?
Seeker Show. That's what we do. My man Bruce Savage in the building today filming. Best of Career Seekers coming very soon. We got a meeting about that today, Bruce, so we're getting ready to make that thing happen, man. Just getting ready to do it. All right, so it's a big day today. I don't even have to tell you because I saw that you checked in on LinkedIn. I saw that you checked in on the IG page. I saw that you checked in on the Twitter feed. Stephanie Humphrey will be in the building today, AB.
I'm so excited. I've been following her a little bit, not always on social media, but generally know who she is. And wow, what a dynamic person. And I can't believe she's going to be in studio, which is awesome. I really thought, you mentioned it a while ago, and I thought maybe she would call in, but this is great.
She's in
I
Philly,
can't wait.
She's in Philly, so she's locking in with us.
I know, yeah.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah.
She's worldwide, though. Speaking of worldwide, shout out to everybody that just kind of helped me down over the last 2 weeks. We weren't here last week. I believe Allison and Vanessa were courteous enough to put on the Career Seeker Show featuring Jamil Rush, Suleiman Rahman, and Greg Shields. So hopefully you got that. The week before that, shout out to our guest, Charity Wells. Came in, Bruce, and tore the station down. Wasn't sure what to expect from Charity. She came in to promote the West Philadelphia Community Job Fair,
right?
And she was outstanding. Took questions from callers.
Wow.
Gave great information.
Love
presented an outstanding event. And she is young, man. She's a star in the making.
I don't know. Tiffany Sutherland, are we in jeopardy of being co-hosts? That's what it sounded like.
Charity came and locked it down. I'm not going to front, man. Charity came and did her thing, man. I was really, really impressed with her. So shout out to her. Thank you for coming through last week. We really appreciate you and all you do out there for the career seekers in Philadelphia. I was telling Bruce when I came in, I had came out here this morning because I actually was doing some work with the good people over at Javs and Career Link. They were doing a mock interview workshop.
Right.
Shout out to my man, Jermaine Jackson, for just kind of reaching out to me, asking would I come through. Saw a lot of people that are friends of the family. I had Mike Robinson was in the building, of course. Yeah. Dan Armspacher from Scepter was in the building. Yeah. So we were over there just delivering first-class information for career seekers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mock interview. Yeah, met a lot of great candidates over there. So I want to shout out somebody real quick. Terry Tobin, the voice of the Career Seeker Show, just hit me up. Asked me what show was this? She said, you're about a year in. Terry, we are a year and a half in. Oof. We're putting in work over
Longer
here.
Longer
right?
than that even. It's
crazy. Let's see, 7. We're 19 months in.
Yeah.
So we coming down the stretch. We got Bruce Savage getting ready to bring out the Best of Career Seekers show live on Comcast and I guess Fios, right?
Fios too, I know. Can't wait. It's also, if you have a Roku, you can get it on there too. It comes. There's a channel. I figured it out that you can, and it posts best of different things. I keep looking for us, but yeah, we're waiting, Bruce.
That's the method to your madness. Hey, hit us up 215-923-WPPM. Listen, we promoted it. We put it on LinkedIn. We put it on IG. We blasted it off on Twitter because social media is what this person does best. You may have seen her on GMA. That's Good Morning America for everybody checking. You may have seen her on the Harry Connick Jr. show, Fox 29 in Philly, News 1, New York City, right? Actually, last Thursday, I caught her on the Home and Family show, Hallmark Channel. You did your thing, too, I might add. And a few weeks ago, you may have seen her at the East Coast Executives Connect to Work training class. This is what we do, man. We just do the family thing and bring people through. Today, we are excited to have Miss Stephanie Humphrey, Tech Life Steph in the building. What's good?
What's good? What's good? Thanks so much for having me.
Come on, man. I was waiting for this day right here. We were trying to get this together like a month ago, right?
I know. It's been a little while.
I appreciate you because you actually circled back like, look, let's do it. Like, I still want to do it. I just couldn't do it then. So I definitely appreciate you kind of checking back in and just coming through. Thank you so very much. We are appreciative of your presence today. This is Alberta Bloom, Senior Recruiter Extraordinaire.
I love it. He gives me a different title.
Hey, as long as extraordinaire,
they're complimentary.
There,
right
good.
there you go. Yeah,
you know, it's all good.
So speaking of extraordinaire, like what's going on with you? What you got going on? I mean, you're not playing games out here. You're the tech life expert. Yeah, I see you.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it is born of a just a sincere desire to help people.
Okay.
You know, I understand how intimidating technology is. You know, my mother lives with me, so every day I'm, you know, showing her click here or don't click here or don't download this, and you know, and even beyond, you know, senior citizens, it's everybody. I am constantly surprised by how our country's lack of technical expertise, you know, for the amount of devices that we have in this country, and for the fact that, you know, 92% of teenagers have a smartphone, and just the proliferation of technology and AI and VR and Element OP, the average person is still kind of behind.
It's 92%, really?
Yeah,
is that
teens? Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. But the average person, teens included, are really kind of behind when you actually get into the real. How do I use this? What is it good for? You know, and then that's not even talking about, you know, are we going to be the creators of this technology? Are we going to start building these apps and learning how to code? And that's a whole different conversation.
Just talking about the end
just about the usefulness and the functionality of what's out there. You know, it's kind of that same concept where they say you only use, you know, 10% of your brain. Like we're only really using maybe 30-40% of what technology is actually capable of, if that, and that could be high. So, you know, I get it. It changes every day. It's a very scary thing, you know, iRobot and all that. So I just really want to help people understand what's coming and how they can use it in their daily lives.
You know, we had a show recently and we were just speaking about LinkedIn, and I know it's you know, kind of a social media platform in a sense. But when people tell me, well, I'm not that familiar with it, and I'm like, no one was 7 years ago.
Right.
Really. So just jump in. Like, it's not.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, come on in like everybody else did.
Yeah.
You know, now people are doing LinkedIn trainings, and they just got on the platform a few years ago, you know, but you have to get on to play.
My thing real quick, too, I even said this today before I left the office. I said to somebody, because I recently, all of a sudden, I've had candidates that are having trouble applying. And, well, I have trouble with the computer. I'm like, do you have a smartphone? Well, this is a
It's a
computer
in your hand.
and these are, like you're saying, younger people too that are having trouble. And it's not that, it might be a little clunky, as all applicant tracking systems can be,
right?
But it's really not that hard.
And but that's coming from a perspective of someone that does actually use it every day. And
that's what somebody else said. Yeah,
because I'm constantly surprised because I do have to catch myself quite a bit.
Yeah.
With the understanding that. Because I never think I know that much. I'm like, well, isn't this just common knowledge?
Right, I know. We need Tiffany here too, right?
I never want to presume that I know that much more than everybody else, but I am constantly surprised that the knowledge levels that I come in contact with, in my daily travels, and it's just like, wow, there's a deficit there.
Yeah,
there's a real deficit there.
How did this career come about for you? How did you become like the tech expert?
Tech Life Steph, my origin story.
Okay, the origin story.
Who's going to play you in the movie?
Exactly. So I was an engineer for Lockheed Martin for a number of years.
Okay.
My background, education, and training is in engineering.
Gotcha.
My undergraduate degree is EE from Florida A&M University.
Sorry. I called you about a training opportunity and who you knew, and your background is training. You probably have a Rolodex of people. We'll talk
That's a long time ago, though, right? That's a long time ago.
Long time ago.
She's a master networker. Everybody knows it.
So background in engineering, working for Lockheed, and just was dissatisfied with the work that I was doing there and cubicle life in general and corporate structure and that whole thing. So took a little detour and got into the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And you can't see my air quotes, but I was doing a little bit of like acting, modeling, hosting, different things like that. Thought that I might pivot into that industry, and I did a little bit with that. I did some red carpet stuff and ended up reporting traffic for the CBS affiliate here, and, a little bit of everything that you could do in that space. And then in 2011, I had a meeting with a guy that worked at Comcast, surprisingly enough, and was trying to, had set my intention that I was going to convince him to, get me on TV, basically. Right. And he's like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you using what you already have?" Because I was sort of going down that entertainment reporter
and leaving the rest behind.
Right.
Okay.
He's just like, you have all this education, all this background. There's nobody out there in the space that could do what you do. Why aren't you using that? And that was the light bulb moment. It really was. And I'm like, I was born an engineer. Just because it didn't fit for that particular role. And then with all now this newfound media training, I just put the two together. And literally that day, it was like January 2011. I said, I could be a Tech Life expert.
Nice.
And that was it. That was
something
it.
clicked. That was awesome.
That's a great story, especially for our listeners, because we speak a lot about this.
Mm-hmm.
People are going in a direction away from what their core skill set is and all the stuff that they've accumulated over years. Mm-hmm. And they say, you know what? I want to do this. I want to go this way. Yeah. And I'm like, if you can just find a way to take some of that with
you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it was crazy because I literally spent the whole rest of that day. I remember that meeting. I'll remember that meeting for the rest of my life. I spent the rest of that day like, what have I been doing this whole time? Because up until that point, I had, it had been almost 3 years and some change that I had left Lockheed to pursue this entertainment career, beating my head against a brick wall. And I was like, what have I been doing for the last 3 years? And it just, I think for me, I had so closely aligned being an engineer and being in the tech space with that corporate structure that I was trying to get away from, that I ditched it all.
And you went way on the other opposite end.
180 degrees opposite. But I realized that I didn't have to leave my love, but I could combine it with what I love doing currently, which was media.
Yeah. I'm going to just go out here on a limb, and it's not because you're here today, but I watched you last Thursday. It's getting ready to happen. Like it's
your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah, man, you were outstanding. I was like, psst,
where were you?
Get rid of everybody else. She was on the Home and Family show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a morning show on the Hallmark channel.
Hallmark.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
I was out the night before too, so I actually woke up to watch.
Or no, were you still awake? You were still awake.
Yeah, I was still awake.
Right.
I hadn't went to bed yet.
Yeah, just gotten in about a half hour before that.
So I actually woke up to support Stephanie.
Yeah.
And to do some intel for this week's show, but I'm like, no.
You're right. Yeah.
But you were You were outstanding. I was like, man, listen, this is getting ready. Let's get her now.
Yeah.
I was like, no, we got to get her on the show right now.
We knew her when.
It's over after this. It's over. It's getting ready to fly for
you. Your mouth to God's ears.
Nah, you're talented and you speak well about what it is that you do. And I know you have so much going on. I want to talk about a couple other things, Steph. So, naturally, I want you to kind of speak on what you see some of the hot careers in tech being kind of moving forward. This is the Career Seeker Show, so we do that and we touch on that. But what are you looking at when you look at, or when you're just kind of just out here in your space and different careers that seem exciting or seem like they're kind of next level?
In the tech space?
In the tech space.
I am super interested in, if I was actually still in that space for real, user experience, user design. And user interface. I think I like them because, number one, you don't necessarily have to have that hardcore traditional tech background to do them. They hire a lot of psychologists, a lot of graphic designers to do those types of things. And that they're kind of two sides of a coin. So if you're interacting with Instagram, for instance, the user experience dictates how you feel when you use the app.
Sure.
Is it easy? Does it keep me engaged for a long period of time? How long am I going to scroll? The user experience person probably added that new little feature that says you're all caught up, trying to get you to log off for a couple minutes.
Gotcha.
The user interface person would be responsible for the look and feel. So where are we putting that new little icon for IGTV?
Sure,
Maybe the upper right-hand corner is the best place for it. What color should it be? How big should it be? So those two things together kind of dictate how somebody interacts with your product. And I think it's just a really, it's a really hot area, and it's just a really exciting area that gives you a chance to be very creative within the tech space.
Kind of to your point, where you can take a skill set that maybe you have, and maybe you have a tech interest,
right?
But you can kind of bring
Flip
that
it.
with you.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So what would you say for people that want to break into that? Do they approach companies to say they'd like to do that skill set? Should they take something at a community college?
I think there are some certifications that you can look at, and Udemy courses and things like that. I think you definitely want to get enough of a feel for what it actually entails, and then maybe even mock up some of your own designs, like this is what my app might look like, or something like that, and then just go for it.
Udemy is for our listeners is an online platform which has thousands of courses on it. Right. So
and pretty affordable courses as well.
Yeah, some of them are free too, but I think they suck you into with the free ones, and then but they're good. It's very worth it. I think it's such a great platform. So
all right, so with the emphasis, I'm seeing a lot of stuff out here in the tech space about STEM careers and STEAM careers and things of that nature, especially targeting communities of color. So I think that's really important. So a question I wanted to ask you, as an African-American female, actually, do you see that as kind of a leveler of the playing field eventually?
I think it can be.
Okay.
And I think it may eventually become that. I still think we have a lot of work to do in our community to help young people understand the value of that. I think right now we are still very much consumer driven as it relates to technology. So, but I think that's just because of a lack of exposure.
Okay.
You can't achieve it if you don't believe it, if you don't see it, that whole
point,
thing.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think, the people of color in the space need to do a better job to be visible to the community. Number one, exactly, and then we have to bring somebody with us.
Well, we just figured you would do it. We just Tech Life Steps out here.
Listen, I don't mind being that person. I advocate for STEM all the time, and and it was funny. I moderated a panel at Drexel a couple weeks ago, and the last question that was asked was by a person of color, and said, everybody's screaming STEM, 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 but what would you say? Because usually the argument for it is, you're going to make money, it's a good job. There are jobs out there. And then maybe not everybody wants to go into a STEM career, but what is the justification you'd give somebody, a kid in the hood, so to speak, about why they should consider a STEM career?
Good question.
And the answer I gave him was that because number one, STEM is our future, and think about what sort of problem you want to solve, whatever that is. You know what I mean? They got brothers built an app that shows you what basketball court is open.
Look,
and
barber,
and just,
what
right,
barbers
exactly.
it
So
is.
it's like, just walk around your community and look at what problem needs to be solved there. There's a STEM solution for that. So look at it in a broader sense, beyond just you need to be a geek and know how to code. It doesn't necessarily mean that. You can be a business development, you know what I mean, and you can find the people that code that will create your app for you or your startup for you. So I think STEM's ability to solve problems should really entice anybody to consider it as a career.
Gotcha. All right. I follow a lot of the stuff that you're doing out here. Just because I just think it's really exciting work that you do, and I have a lot of respect for you just as a professional. Talk to me about Till Death Do You Tweet. Yeah, talk to me about your baby. Let's talk about your baby.
It is. It's so funny. It's funny because it started out way back in the day, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even longer. Actually, even longer than that, when I was still an engineer at Lockheed. It was my effort to not bore students to death at career day. Like literally that was my only motivation, because I had a lot of friends that were educators and in the education system, and they would call, come talk to our kids about being an engineer and, blah, blah. And I mean, I'm like, that's cool. But I remember those days, and I remember being bored to tears by a person in a suit, droning on for an hour about accounting or something like that. And I just never wanted to be that person. I always wanted to leave the kids with something that they could take away that was actionable. So I started kind of forming this thing. It wasn't called that yet, and I don't know that I knew that I would bring it to this point yet, but I started forming this thing so that I could speak on something that they cared about. I could engage them, and afterwards, if you have some questions about me being an engineer, I can answer those as well. But let's have a conversation about something that you're actually interested in, that can help you. And I just saw the response that I was getting from the kids. Everybody, oh my God, I never pay attention to assemblies, but you were great. I'm
if you could keep them interested.
Seriously, I get DMs all the time from students that are just like, wow, I had no idea. Thank you for speaking to us. Thank you. You're the one person that came in here this year that acted like they care. Just all kind of things. So I'd say maybe in the last 3 years or so, I looked at it and really saw it for what it was and what it could be. And I said, well, shoot, I love doing it. Don't get me wrong. It's a passion, but I can also make some money.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I can also monetize this thing and, get into schools and get me a
that's
corporate
the win-win,
sponsor.
right?
Exactly. Get a corporate sponsor and go on tour. That's really my goal with it. I would love to, have, AT&T presents Till Death Do You Tweet and do 30 schools across the country or something like that.
We're getting ready to make some money together.
Yeah, man, let's do it. So so since then it's taken on, a life of its own almost. And there are 3 different tracks for Till Death Do You Tweet. So one is for the students. I go into schools and speak to them about their online brand, what that means, how you can damage it, how you can save it, what you should be doing around social and your whole digital footprint.
When we speak of students, are we talking high school students?
High school, yeah. 8th graders. I think it's relevant for 8th graders as well.
Gotcha.
I'm working with my sister's actually an educator. I'm working with her and some of her colleagues to figure out what that conversation looks like for younger students, because I'm getting asked, because the 6th graders,
they're there.
Exactly. And schools are having problems already with 6th graders and sending nudes and doing all this stuff already. So I'm working to figure out what the conversation and the presentation looks like for a younger audience. So
and there's no
hopefully I'll be
blueprint
able
to
do
that.
No,
It's new.
No.
It's
Exactly.
a new issue.
So we have our students. We have a track for parents,
Okay.
where I can come in to your PTA meeting or your mom meetup, and help you understand what your kids are doing online, how to have a conversation with them about it. Or for parents, I actually have a course that you can take online, and it's literally the course you would see in person, broken up into video modules and quizzes and all that other stuff. So really gives you a nice framework to understand this whole social media thing. thing, and then help your kids kind of navigate through it. And then recently, TDDYT Pro.
I saw that. I saw that today. I was like, now we're talking.
Pro,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Because I have been getting requests to come and talk to professionals.
Yes.
Because, just because you grown don't mean you can't act a fool on Twitter. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Listen, we see it all
Happens
the time.
all the time,
We see
yeah.
it all the time. Shout out to Roseanne, who's now unemployed.
Right.
And so, I had been getting requests from companies to come in and do something to help their employees,
Okay.
be better representatives of the company brand and help them understand the separation of personal and professional online. So that's actually been going really, really well.
That's outstanding. That's what Alberta was speaking about earlier. We jump in and out of our professional brand and our personal brand
Yeah.
online on these social media platforms, and it's seamless for us. But then you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have shared that information.
All right, and I know.
As a company representative.
Well, not only that, but also my own political views.
Yeah,
too. I
it's
shouldn't do.
exactly-
Yeah.
I've tried to keep it separate. I
Right.
try, but then every once in a while, just something really just.
You're like,
Ugh.
So
So,
is,
yeah.
is it just that kind of think before you do it, or is it just an
Absolutely.
actual
Take
strategy?
Take that beat, and then too, you could do some things that if you really wanted to kind of, separate, but there really is no separation. Even if you have a separate account for your personal and an account for your business, people are still going to associate you with all of your social profiles
Sure.
and your entire digital footprint.
Right.
So, and it's social media. So people are going to expect that you'll also offer some of your personal views on things and share some of your life outside of what you do.
Sure.
So the way that you sort of navigate that and manage that is, number one, think before you post. You don't always have to engage, as passionate as we might be about a thing or a topic. There's a way to engage that is not attacking someone else, that's not
Yes,
aggressive, that's not
yes.
insulting to someone else, that's not offensive,
There's
that comes
intelligent.
Exactly. There's intelligent discourse that can be
Right.
had via social.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is perfectly fine. That's what it's there for, and you don't have to call someone names or
Right.
or use offensive slurs or anything like that to get your point across. And so I always try to approach those types of things from an educational standpoint,
Okay.
because sometimes, I kind of like to engage. I'm like, oh, word, this is what you want to
Yeah,
do online?
right.
Let me break you down with facts. You know what I'm saying? I don't have any problem doing that sometimes. So, and I think that's perfectly fine. And I think also, depending on the network, Twitter, that's what Twitter is for.
That's what it's
You
for.
know what
Yeah,
I mean?
right.
So if you feel passionately about something, maybe you have that conversation there and then use the other networks for something else.
We speak to a lot of career seekers or job seekers, if you may, and a lot of times I get people saying to me, so I should just reach out to the person? Well, yeah, that's what that's for.
Yeah, it's social.
It's social
It's
media.
social
Yeah. And they're like, I should just reach
Yeah.
out to them. Yeah, that's what you should do.
Which is so funny because then you have the other people on the opposite end of the extreme that just blurt out everything and aren't afraid of reaching out, aren't afraid of.
Some people
Right.
do, yeah. But
Or you get that first LinkedIn. I love it when people send you that first correspondence or interaction, and it's like 3 paragraphs. Of
Oh,
information.
right.
it's a little bit much.
Yeah, it's like we don't know each
Baby
other. Like,
steps.
baby steps.
Yeah,
Baby
yeah.
steps. Exactly.
Yeah.
So tell me about. So for Till Death Do You Tweet Pro, right? Your target company size. Like, do you have target companies? Like just what's an ideal company look like for you?
Fortune 500.
Okay.
And, what's been happening so far is that a lot of the employee resource groups have
yeah,
been reaching
got
out
you.
to me for programming. They have some
makes sense
budget,
to
that
kinda
they
do it
that they
through
want
there.
to spend.
Sure.
And so that's what's been happening so far. Shout out to you because you connected me with Jermaine and the folks at CareerLink.
Heard some good things about you today.
Yeah,
actually.
they want to do something with
Get it.
their job developers to kind of train the trainer, so to speak. So yeah, I'd be looking at any company that wanted their employees to get a better understanding of how to manage those two things. The group size wise, it tends to be a little bit hands on. So 50
Okay.
employees at a time.
That's about right.
So we'll do a series of workshops and yeah, hit
I
me.
love it.
Anybody that wants that information.
Yo, speaking of hitting you, how do people get in contact with Tech Life Steph?
You can check me out at untildeathdoyouTweet.com. Send me email on the website, or I'm all around the web at Tech Life Steph.
She's out here, man, doing her thing. It's the Career Seekers Show, WPPM, LP Philadelphia. We did it again. What's good, everybody? I want to thank everybody that checked in on 106.5 FM out here in Philly. Everybody that's checked in on the phillycam.org. Everybody that's checked in on East Coast Executives Facebook fan page. We really appreciate you, man, for listening. We know you got stuff to do, but you choose to spend an hour with us, and today you got to spend that hour with myself and Mr. Michael Robinson. Tiffany Sutherland, on behalf of Tiffany Sutherland and Alberta Bloom, I'm sorry. It's the Career Seeker Show, man. We do it every week. WPPM, LP Philadelphia. Let's go.